Hello! Welcome to the Mellow Yellow Gardens. I'm Ren. This is the first official video that I'm filming for this channel. Goodness me. The topic for today basically is just we're going to talk about coping mechanisms and all that, and we're going to be making a chunky blanket, or at least we're going to try because I've never done this before. So basically I have I have everything that I need right here. I have so much yarn. So the yarn that I'm using is, I just took this Bernat blanket. I don't know. I got this on Amazon. Specifically, these were like $7.46. This is not the right thickness, I don't think. Like, I think it's supposed to be a little bit chunkier. But we're gonna see if we can make it work, because I am on a college student budget, and this was the cheapest I could find. So basically you're gonna need 4 skeins of this. That's what they look like. I've already unraveled 3 of them, and then re-raveled them onto pencils, because it was like a huge mess of yarn. So my neighbors are being loud. So basically the first step is you're going to unravel all of this and then tie a double knot into each thing. So basically you had to unravel all 4 of these and then tie them together so it's all like one continuous mess of yarn. So that's gonna take a while, so I'll be back once this is all unraveled. Hello! Welcome back! So that took a lot longer than even I expected, so that's great. Oh dang it, I lost the end! No! So yeah, so basically it's a giant tangled mess. I don't know how we're gonna fix this, and I lost the end. So great. Oh no. So this is stressful, but that goes into our topic for today, which is coping mechanisms. How to cope with depression and stress and everything, you know how it goes. But there's a lot of different kinds of coping mechanisms, and there's a lot of different, obviously there's a lot of different things, but there's also different ways that it can help, and some ways that it can hinder, because there is such thing as unhealthy coping mechanisms, and some of them aren't as bad as others, obviously. There are obviously very bad ones that, oh my god, that I'm not going to get into detail on those, because this is not about unhealthy coping mechanisms. This is about healthy coping mechanisms, and some of those include but not limited to, working out, bubbles, listening to music, just going outside. There's, some people like to work out, some people like to do like a punching bag, like boxing and stuff, which I know a couple of people who enjoy boxing as their sort of like way to cope, because it helps get your anger out in a constructive way. And like some people will think that that's not as healthy, and like punching the wall or like a desk or something is kind of unhealthy. It's an unhealthy alternative to the other one, the punching the punching bag. Yeah, way to go. Okay, so here's the blanket so far. How you like it? I think it's great, yeah. But the some of the ways that like punching, like boxing or like a punching bag can help is you're bettering yourself through, exercise. And like I said, it can help get some of that anger out in a constructive way. Bubbles is another really fun one, because bubbles are really fun, and they make you happy, and they're a momentary break from whatever sort of crap you're going through. And sometimes all you really need to do is take a step away from reality, in a sense of like what is going on, and that can be by watching a movie or listening to music or even going outside, separating yourself from what is bothering you at the present, or just letting yourself take a mental break. There's so many ways that you can just sort of separate yourself from the situation in order to let yourself kind of heal. And one of my favorite ways to cope with things is to draw, or really do any sort of art. Like I draw, I paint, but I've recently been doing digital art because that's just what is easiest for me at present, because while I do have my paints and stuff here with me in college, it's messy sometimes. It can get pretty dicey when you're painting, and you're sad while you're painting. And so I have chosen to sort of invest myself into some digital art, and that actually helps a lot, because it allows me to have a little bit of control in what is happening, even if it's as simple as, what colors I'm using. It's giving me, this is a mess. It's giving me the tiniest bit of control that I don't have at present, Like this for example, this is way out of control, and it's not a good feeling. But sometimes you can't control everything, and that is one thing that I've struggled with for a very long time, is not being able to have control over everything that happens in my life, because I'm used to having a controlled environment, which I feel like a lot of people are used to. You've grown up in a specific time, and you had specific things that you had to do, and all of that, and there was a lot of control. And in some cases, you had a lot of control. And when suddenly your life is a mess of tangled yarn and you can't find the end piece, it can get a little stressful and a little overwhelming. And that's when healthy coping mechanisms really come in handy. Because if you know what works for you, or if you don't know what works for you and you're trying to figure that out, knowing some options is very helpful. And your best bet is to do something that you're passionate about, something that you enjoy. And it doesn't have to be, super crazy, like this is what I'm doing with the rest of my life or whatever. It's just something as simple as, oh, I like to listen to music. Then listen to music and let that be your focus. Let that be what you invest your time and your energy into for however long you need. There really is no time limit on recovery. There's no, like, I have 30 minutes before I have to be sunshine and rainbows, and now, so I'm just gonna sit here and listen to music for 30 minutes and then I'll be, flip the happy switch and everything will be fine. That's, first of all, it's not realistic. For some people, all it takes is 30 minutes. Some people, it takes less. But that is not a realistic outlook for everybody. You can't just, be like, yes, I've sat here and I've drawn for 3 hours. I'm good to go. And maybe 3 hours is, you would be fine after 3 hours. But you shouldn't choose something. You shouldn't go into a situation where you're using a coping mechanism just to assume that everything's gonna be okay and be like, all right, yep, if I sit here and draw, then I will be okay. Because sometimes, unfortunately, that's not the case. But having a healthy coping mechanism or mechanisms is really helpful, and it's a great start. Because how did I lose it so quickly? This is not what the content that you signed up for. Oh my goodness. But I'm gonna make this blanket. I'm gonna do it, whether or not it's on this video. This video might just me sitting. See, I'm stuttering. Might just be me sitting here trying to fight this freaking yarn so much. For y'all's sake, I'm gonna try and find the end of it off camera and kind of try and help maybe attempt to untangle some of this. And then I'll come back and continue talking about, coping mechanisms. Oh my goodness, I've just left off in the middle of a sentence, I'm so sorry, but I promise I will continue shortly. I found it. I found the end. Okay. Now we can actually do this. So I have a video that is how I'm supposed to do this. So hopefully we can figure this out. But alright, so I have the end finally. Okay. Cross the string, then pull loop through. Okay. Okay. So She said cross the string and pull loop through. Alright. Alright, okay. So like that. Okay. And then make loops until... Is it like the same... This? Oh, wait. Oh, I get it. Okay, cool. Sort of. Okay, so now we're just putting, okay. So the first loop we did was a slip knot sort of loop, and then now we're just putting the loop, taking the string, putting a loop, and then pulling. And then that's the process for now. So, yeah. This is how it's gonna be. This is the kind of... I told you I wanted to keep it real. No idea what I'm doing half the time. And you know, this is just gonna be how it is. And that's fine. Because you know what? If we're not keeping it real, what are we doing with our lives? But in that case, moving on. Now that we've figured sort of what we're doing out. Okay. How did I mess that up already? Okay. We're good. Okay. So, some other coping mechanisms are actually like, you know, singing, like I said, any sort of art activity, sometimes dancing, like if you're a dancer, or if you're not a dancer and you just like the feeling of dancing, then go for it. If that's what makes you happy, then that's what makes you happy. So, yeah. And coping mechanisms are not something that you have to do just if you have like depression or anxiety or any other mental illness, like PTSD or anything. They can just be as simple as, you know, you're stressed out. You're having a rough day. And a lot of times, especially in like school and work and all that, you know, the last thing you want to have is, or the last thing you want to be is super stressed out, because you're not going to get anything done if you're like so wrapped up in how stressed out you are and all that. And another problem, like one problem for me, is that I am really bad at dealing with my stress and coping with stress, and so like stress will literally cause me to crash. Like I will lose my mind and it causes me to completely just shut down, and that is not the ideal situation for most people. I mean, it shouldn't be the ideal situation for anybody, but you know what I mean. And so a lot of the times, you know, having something as simple as just a little thing that you can do, even if it just is like getting up and walking away from whatever you're doing, monumental, you know. And another thing is talking to people. And sometimes I will say that talking does not work for everybody. It just, you know, like therapy and all that doesn't always work for everybody, and that is, you know, there's a lot of different ways that people deal with their, you know, their stress and all that, and their depression, and their, you know, their struggle is different from everybody. No one is going through the same thing at the same time, ever. And that also means that if you do not feel the same way, as, say, I do, or if you don't have this, if you don't know your coping mechanisms, or if you don't have the best coping mechanisms, or if you only have like one or two, or if it takes a lot, that's perfectly okay, because you and I are not the same person, and we will never be the same person, and the same thing goes with everybody else on the face of the planet. No one is going through the same thing at the same time ever. And so you shouldn't feel the need to be just like everybody else and have the same issues and the same reactions and all that, because there's just no way that that is even capable of anyone's even capable of doing that. And another thing is that your problems and your issues are never less important than anybody else's. There's always the, oh, someone else has it worse. No one ever in the face of the planet has it worse. Everyone says that. Everyone says that there's somebody else who has it worse. And I'm not saying that that's not true. There's definitely people who have it worse than, say I do. They're in a worse situation than I am, but that does not make your problems any less important and any less real. And so, while yes, literally, there is someone who has it worse than you, that does not mean that you are not just as important as they are. And that was something that I had to deal with for a long time, because I constantly put my stuff down, because I was worried that I was gonna look like I was almost seeking attention, and I was searching. I was trying to just be the next. I was trying to almost like my problems weren't as bad as my friends' problems or my brother's problems or my parents' problems. I couldn't talk about my problems because I thought that there was always something bigger than what I was going through, and that caused me to have a lot of issues throughout my life. And it's not, there's no way for anybody to measure that. You can't tell me like, oh, like on a scale of 1 to 10, my issues are more important than someone else's or anything. And it's, no one should have to do that. No one should have to do anything by themselves, and no one should have to live in a state of, oh, I can't talk about my problems because they're not as important as everything else that's happening. And that is why communicating is probably one of the most important coping mechanisms, but not so much in the fact that like it's all, like I feel better after I talk to people, because sometimes that's not the case for me or for a lot of people. Sometimes you can't talk your problems away, but at the very least you can see your problems in a different perspective, and you don't have to go it alone. It's not something that you have to figure out on your own anymore, because someone else knows about it. And it's something that once you talk about it, and once you put your issues into words, it makes them real. Like, not like, it makes them something tangible rather than something that's like in your head. It turns them into the something that you can actually face. And that can be monumental. And lost my train of thought. No one told me how hard YouTube would be. You know, like, it's not hard, but it's also hard because, you know, there's just some things that my parents are gonna watch this video and they're gonna be like, wow, what is wrong with her? No. They won't think that. They'll just think I'm very awkward, which is a fact, but yeah. And also, my boyfriend is probably gonna edit most of this video, so he's just gonna be sitting there, like, watching me. All of this. So, thanks for that. I told my boyfriend that if he wanted to make me look stupid, he could. So, yeah, there's that. But I think this is kind of long. It's almost the size of my arm, of my wingspan. So I think I'll call it at this, and then we will go about our next step. And I'm gonna figure out what that is, and I'll be back.
Hi guys, it's Ren. I'm Ren in the future, editing the video for this week, which might not come out on time. I don't know, maybe. The reason why I put it off this long, it is currently 7:41 on Sunday, which I had planned on uploading this video on Sunday, but the blanket that I made that I started making in this video is not done, like, at all. And I don't know how long it'll take to finish it. So if I ever end up finishing it in a timely manner, I will post about it later, some sort of other video, but, like, there's a reason why this has kind of an abrupt end, because it took me forever to figure it out, and then I had to, like, redo it because it got all unraveled. So it's kind of really bad, but, you know, it's fine. So, yeah, I also didn't film an outro for this video because I never actually finished filming it. So here's the outro. Yeah, we're doing great. It's our second video in, and good times. So, I just want to let y'all know I love you, and thanks for watching. Bye!